Right, okay. This is your next kaleidoscope tutorial. This is slightly more complicated than the last. This was just made from that image you saw, and this is what I'm going to be showing you how to make. Okay, so I've just opened an image here from File Open. It's come in, it's set as my background layer. The first thing you're going to need to do is change that from a background to a usual layer, to a normal layer. To do that here, you should see a padlock on the layers list. Select that padlock and now the image becomes a layer. Okay, now what I will do in this video is, rather than using the top bar all the time to go through the different menus, where I know how, I will try to use shortcuts, but I will always name them for you so you can sort of keep up with what we're doing. So the first thing we're going to need to do is set the image into free transform, which you will access by holding Command and then pressing T. Okay, now we see these little bubbles sort of pop up around the image. This means we can transfer, we can change the size of the image, the angle of the image, that kind of thing. This occasion, we're just doing the angle. So that's this one here, it's got the little angle sign sort of thing on it. You want to type in there, for the purpose of this tutorial, 60, okay? Now once that's completed, we need to put that into position. Now, how this is going to work is the image will only come into contact with the right wall of the image, the top of the wall, but it won't touch the bottom or the left hand wall. Okay, if that didn't make sense, you'll see what I mean as I move the image. Okay, so I'm going to pop that like there. Okay, now I'm going to use transform to drag the image, make the image bigger so it fills up this gap here. However, I don't want to just plain drag the image that way and stretch it. I want to sort of keep it true to its original aspects, so I don't like change the image. So to do that, I'm going to hold down the shift key, which looks a bit like a upwards facing arrow, and then I'm going to click this top corner and I'm going to drag that out until it touches and just slightly surpasses that top wall. Then I'll let go. Now here we need to select that we're happy with that transform. So you're going to commit transform, enter. So press the tick. Now that's complete. Okay, I want to make sure that this is now also sort of nice and snug and tight and that there's no faded edges. So the next thing you're going to need to do is select the magic wand tool. Now, quite often it will auto set to quick selection. Anything that's got this little, where any of these symbols have that tiny little sort of south east facing arrow, it means there's more than one option. You just need to select it, then hold your cursor down on it, and then your other selections will come up. So just make sure that's set to magic wand tool. Now, once we've got the wand on our screen, we need to select the open empty space. Then we're going to invert that so it's now, then it actually selects our image. So you're going to go to select, inverse. That's actually in the shortcut Shift Control I. Okay, now we've selected this area. To make sure it's nice and crisp, we're going to go, I believe, to select, down to modify, then to contract. We're just going to do it by 1 pixel. Sometimes you'll notice the change, sometimes you won't, but it'll just make sure that everything fits together nice and smoothly. Fantastic. Then we're just going to go to image and then crop, just to see what we've got left. So this is the image that we are now going to be working with. Okay, at this point, if you want to deselect, you can do. It doesn't really make a great deal of difference. Okay, we're going to go back to crop and we're going to crop in some negative space. So you can actually crop back out to give us a little more room to work with. We want to make this nice and central. So let's bring that nice and large and press select. Now, we don't want to be constantly sort of surfing around this image. So to make it all fit onto the screen, if you hold Command and press 0, it will zoom out to fit the entire screen. Just to help you navigate around as well, You can use command by holding command by pressing the plus. You will zoom in. By pressing the minus, you will zoom out. Okay, let's move this up here. Okay, so now we have this image here. We have our layer. We have the first little piece in our puzzle towards our kaleidoscope. Now we need to add to it. Okay, so how do we do that? Right, the first thing we need to do is duplicate this layer. We do that by holding command and pressing J. As you can see now, we have a layer copy. So we have another copy of this that we can now then move around. But leave that over the top of the original layer for now, because we're going to flip that image. So we're going to go to Image, Edit, Transform, Flip Horizontal. And then we're going to move that to sit flush, and you should see, can you see these purple lines at the top and bottom through the center? You know, and in between those two objects, we need to make sure that they show, because then that sort of measures up and shows us that all the lines are fitting together. Again, command and plus to zoom in. We want to make sure we don't have a pixel line in between when we zoom right in, because it looked as if there was a gap in pixels, but that actually when we zoom in isn't, so it's fine. Okay. Right, next thing we're going to do is we're going to select these two layers. So you hold the command key and select the second layer. Now you've got two layers selected at once. Now, we're not just going to do them before, but you're actually going to merge them. So if you hold the control down on your Mac, so it's not command this time, it's control, over these two selected layers, and just click as normal, it'll bring up a list of additional options. Go over this arrow, scroll down to the bottom, and you've got these three options here. I want you to merge layers. And now these two layers are merged. Now it's kind of like a repeat exercise. It's pretty straightforward. You're going to select that layer, and then you're going to command and J. So that's, remember, duplicate layer. So now we have two layers of this. Put that back over where it should be again. We need to go on this copied layer now. We need to transform. So command and T. And we're going to go back to what we did before, up to the angle bar, and type in 60. Select, done. Let's move that to meet, flush, and it will sort of snap into place as you move it, and that's in there. Fantastic. So that's the second piece of your puzzle. Now, we don't want to have to do that manually each time. Of course, you could do it that way, but there is a faster way. Okay, we can get Photoshop just to repeat that entire process for us by holding down Command, Alt, and Shift, and pressing T. And we have our next piece. Slot that into place. Then Command, Alt, Shift, hold down at once, press T. And next piece of the puzzle. Command, Alt, Shift, T, and again. And then we've got our last sort of pizza slices ready to move in to place. Oh, there is a gap. Let's zoom in and get that fixed. I'll have to do some moving here. Almost there. That's that one. Yes. Almost. There we go. Nice and flush. Okay. Let's Commando. And we have our kaleidoscope. Now, that's your base, and it is beautiful, let's be honest. Okay. Now, once you've got one layer selected, either at the bottom or we could just select at the top, we need to select them all. So if you have one selected there, scroll down to the bottom, hold your Shift key, select the furthest possible layer away, hold down Command, press, oh, I did press the wrong button there, hold on, it's Control, isn't it? So move down to the bottom, even I make mistakes. Okay, hold down, so it's Shift, select the bottom one, hold down Control, that's it, and then select again over the top, pressing the normal sort of select button, take the arrow down to the bottom, merge layers, and we have it all as one movable layer now. Okay, once again you can Command J to duplicate that layer, and with that duplicated layer we can Control T to transform, hold down Shift and reduce its size, and once again move that over to add yet more to our kaleidoscope. Pretty straightforward once you get used to it. Okay, so you can play around with different parts of the image and the rotation on it. You could flip the image before you rotated it at the start to maybe capture a different section. Now it does work on heavily textured images better, or macro images better than ones that have large areas of background, because when you have to move the image to the edge of the screen to capture the background, that can make it quite troublesome. If you had an image with background that you wanted to do a kaleidoscope on, I would suggest pre-cropping before you started the transform rotation of the 60 degrees. Alright, if you have any questions, do let us know. Go and create some wonderful work.